If you keep asking for one more sign, it might not be guidance that you're waiting for. It might be permission. Because sometimes we don't want clarity, we want certainty. And certainty is a drug. It provides safety, it promises control, it promises that you won't have to feel the vulnerable ache of choosing. But life does not reward certainty. Life rewards faithfulness. Our official alignment anchor. Yellow light. Pause. Breathe. Right where I am, God is. So I ask, what's the most aligned next step? Not the most impressive one. And I move, one faithful step at a time. Here is today's consequence. When you are addicted to one more sign, you delay obedience and call it discernment. And the longer you delay, the more your life becomes a waiting room. And not because you're lazy, because you're afraid to be wrong, afraid to be judged, afraid to lose the illusion of control. And here is the sneaky part. The addiction to signs makes you treat God like a fortune teller instead of a guide. Guidance is not always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet knowing that you keep negotiating with. In this conversation, there are two familiar characters. Character A is the sign seeker. They mean well. They want to do the right thing, but they have confused guidance with guarantee. The sign seeker looks like asking everyone for confirmation, then still feeling unsure. Waiting for a perfect feeling before taking a step. Needing the path fully lit before moving. Calling anxiety intuition and staying stuck. Saying, I'm just praying on it, while refusing the obvious next step. Character B, the faithful listener. The faithful listener listens deeply, then they move humbly. They don't need a billboard, they're simply seeking integrity. The faithful listener looks like taking the next right step without demanding a guarantee, letting clarity unfold through movement, being willing to adjust when needed, trusting God with the outcome, choosing obedience over obsession. And listen, beloved, the sign seeker isn't foolish. The sign seeker is trying to feel safe. But safety is not the same as alignment. Here's what one more sign often looks like in real life. It can look like asking for advice from too many people, over-researching so you can delay committing, waiting for the right mood to make a decision, looking for external confirmation to avoid internal responsibility, reading every little thing as an omen, second-guessing what you already know, saying if it's meant to be, it'll be easy, and calling friction a no. Here is our yellow light check-in. Am I seeking guidance or avoiding the courage of choice? Here's the truth that steadies everything. God does not usually guide by spectacle. God guides by steadiness. Sometimes the sign is not external. Sometimes the sign is the consistency of what keeps returning to your heart. The traffic light helps here because green is not always a miracle. Sometimes it's simply permission to move. Red is not always punishment. Sometimes it is protection. But yellow is always the holy hinge. Yellow is where you pause long enough to realize you already have enough to take the next faithful step. You don't need the whole map. You need the next turn. I happen to know this pattern intimately. I know what it is to want certainty so badly that you keep postponing the step. To keep asking, are you sure? Because if I can get enough confirmation, maybe I won't feel the fear. But what I learned is this: signs don't remove the need for faith. They just delay the moment you have to choose. And often, the very act of choosing is what reveals the next layer of clarity. The addiction to signs is like sitting at a green light, refusing to go until you get a handwritten note from the universe saying it's safe. But the light is already green. The pause becomes paralysis, and then you start calling the delay wisdom. Yellow light is when you stop demanding guarantees. Yellow is where you choose, I will trust enough to move. The pivot protocol. Pause, assess, and decide. Here's how to practice this today, in real life, in real moments. Our first step is to pause. When you feel yourself asking for one more sign, take one breath. Let that breath interrupt the craving for certainty. Our second step is to assess. Ask 3 questions. What do I already know is true? What am I afraid will happen if I move? What is the smallest faithful step I can take today without needing a guarantee? And if you like the alignment chain, use this. Premise, what am I believing? Vision, what do I really want? Purpose, why does it matter? And strategy, what is the next faithful step? Because the premise under one more sign is often, if I choose wrong, I will lose love or safety. Beloved, love is not that fragile, and neither are you. Our third step is to decide. Make one aligned decision, not 10, just one. Here are 3 options you might choose from. The first, take the next step you already know that you should take. Or maybe it is to set a deadline for the decision and honor it. Our third option could be to replace sign seeking with one truth sentence, such as, I don't need certainty, I need integrity. And remember, this is not the most dramatic step. It's not the most impressive step. It is the next faithful one. So here's your charge for today. Stop worshiping certainty. Stop bargaining with the moment. Our yellow light, beloved, is to pause, assess, and decide. And today, practice this sentence. I will not ask for another sign to avoid obedience. If you like to journal, use the following prompt. Where am I addicted to certainty? And what is the next faithful step I already know? If something in today's conversation stirred you, don't rush past that. That stirring is often the soul's way of saying, pay attention, this is your yellow light. And you do not have to navigate this alone. If you are craving clarity, if you are ready to live with purpose, and you want aligned action that holds up in real life, I would love to support you. You can reach out to learn more about Life Charter or what it looks like to work with me, Babs. Just send me a message with the word yellow and tell me where you feel stuck, numb, or unsure. I will respond with the next best step in the simplest way we can walk it together. Until tomorrow, yellow light, pause, breathe. Right where I am, God is. What's the most aligned next step? Not the most impressive one. And I move one faithful step at a time. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. I love you deeply. For in truth, we are old friends because we are one.